All right. So as you're getting set up here on your mat, begin to do a little check-in with how you're feeling. Notice like how your muscles feel as you set up. Notice your breath. Maybe notice like your energy level as well. You feel a little sleepy? Are you feeling energetic? And just sort of gathering any information that you can to just kind of notice like how are you doing? How are you doing physically, mentally, and emotionally? And you can hold as much space here for that as you would like. If you would rather it be a short check-in, like, okay, I'm generally doing like this, and I'm going to come back to my breath now, that's an option too. So any point, I think you know this already, I say this every class because it's important to me. You are welcome to take different variations of postures at any point throughout practice. You can skip postures, you can take different postures altogether, you can take space, you could be walking away and coming back, you can do your own thing. Ask questions whenever. If you'd rather your screen not be on the camera, on the recording, you could ask via chat. I will do my best to check it. You can always ask after class or via email as well if you want like a bit more of a conversation on your question. All right, so bring your awareness to your breath. Really notice the space your breath is taking up, the movement in your body from your breath. And then begin to add a little bit of movement. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Just doing whatever movement works for you. This might be a place where you're checking in, like how do your muscles feel here? Like if you're moving your head, like how does your neck and shoulders feel? If you're moving like your fingers, how do your wrists, how do your hands, fingers feel? That kind of thing. And we'll actually take a couple of postures, a couple of movements from tabletop, if that's comfortable for you. So you can, whenever you're ready, however you'd like to get there, come up to a tabletop, hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath your hips. As you breathe in, bring your belly towards the floor, tilt your tailbone up, lift your gaze up. And then exhale, opposite movement, round your spine, tuck your tailbone, tuck your chin to your chest. Inhale, belly towards the floor, gaze tilts towards the ceiling, tailbone lifts up. Exhale, round your spine, tuck your tailbone. Inhale, last time, bring your belly towards the floor, tilt your gaze and your tailbone up. From here, do like you had a tail, wag your tail from side to side. So hips to the right, hips to the left. So adding in like a little side stretch with that. And then exhale, last time, round your spine, really press your shins into the floor, press your hands into the floor, press the middle of your back up. And then inhale to neutral. Tuck your toes. I like to tuck and then kind of drag back slightly. And then depending on how this feels, sometimes this can feel intense because we're opening up some fascia in your feet. So if it feels like a lot, you can stay like this, right? If it feels okay, you can sit up on your feet for a second. We won't be here for too long, don't worry. You might kind of reach over and tuck your baby toes too. As we're here, just to sort of distract you, bring your hands to your heart, full breath in. Stay for your breath out. Inhale, reach both arms overhead. Exhale, sweep your arms wide. Interlace your fingers behind your back. You might stay like this, encouraging your fingers towards the floor. Or if your thighs are sore, you can kind of go ahead and knead your thighs a little bit, giving yourself a little massage. Last breath here. Right, come forward. And then you can either tap your feet, if depending on the space you're in, right? If you don't want to make a lot of sound, you can press the tops of your feet into the floor and maybe do a gentle little tap. All right, so we're gonna come back to tabletop. Bring your shoulders past your wrists. So lean your shoulders forwards. And then as you exhale, bring your hips to your heels and lift your hands up. So just the heels of your hands are on the floor. I don't know if you can see that, but it's like, you know what, like the stop movement, like you're doing that. You have the heels of your hands on the ground and you're trying to kind of pull your fingers to your arms. And let that go for a second. Take a full breath in and a slow breath out. We'll do that one more time. Inhale to tabletop and then past your wrists. Exhale, hips to heels, flex your hands, pull the tops of your hands to your forearms. And then hands down, press your hips back. Nice. Inhale, come up. Rotate your hands all the way around so that your fingers are pointing to your knees. And then bring your hips back slightly. So this is the same type of movement we were just doing, but just a bit of a stretch. For me, I like having my knees a little closer to my hands. Just because it feels like I have a little more control over the movement. You don't necessarily have to do this. And we'll do one more thing. So bring your hands back to neutral. We'll do one more stretch for wrists. Bring the backs of your hands on the ground. And for me, again, I like to have my feet really close to my hands for this. So my backs and my hands are on the ground. And then depending on how this feels, you can stay like this. Leaning back will increase the stretch. We're going to be here for a few breaths. So you're not wanting to go lean to like your 10 out of 10. So it's a super, super intense stretch. Just sort of hang out where you're feeling sensation. That said, sometimes this does feel like a big stretch, especially if it's a movement or a stretch you don't often do. Nice last breath. Bring your hands back, sit down onto your feet. Do little circles with your wrists. Nice. So do a good little warm up for our wrists and our feet. All good stuff. When you're ready, you can make your way to stand. Find mountain pose. Inhale, circle your arms overhead. Interlace your fingers, release your index fingers, or bring your hands onto the top of your head. Exhale, side bends to the right. So your feet are pressing down into the floor. Allow your hips to move to the left. Inhale, come back up. Exhale the other way. So hips to the right, reaching to the left. And you can change your arm variation up if you feel like it. If you're interlacing your fingers, you might interlace your fingers the opposite way so that you have sort of the non-dominant grip or the one that might feel a little bit awkward. Inhale, come back up. Separate your hands, maybe reaching them forwards, maybe bring them down, giving them a little shake first. Bend your knees. I'll go slightly on an angle. Bend your knees. So knees are moving forwards, hips moving back. So you're You have a couple of different movements happening, bending at your ankles, your knees, and your hips. Bring your hands to your heart. Full breath in here. As you exhale, twist to the right. So you can bring your left hand maybe onto your right leg, maybe onto your left leg, depending on how you're feeling. Right hand to your right hip or your sacrum, which is a flat bone right in the middle of your spine. Notice if you're doing a lot of the twist with your gaze, and see if you can look a little less to the right. Think instead of each individual vertebrae twisting and doing so with the muscles in your core, so that if you let your hands go, you're staying in the same spot. Inhale, come back, straighten your legs, reach your arms overhead, do a big stretch if you like. And then exhale, separate your hands, bend your knees. Hands to heart, full breath in. Twist to the left as you breathe out. So you can choose the depth of this. You can have your knees pretty straight. You can even have them fully straight and have it be more of a standing twist. Or you can really bend your knees. And depending on where your arms are, some people will use elbow on the outside of your left knee. Take one more slow breath here. Always hesitant to put my water glass somewhere I can reach it because my cat will drink out of it. We'll try it. Inhale, come back to center. Put your arms overhead. Circle your arms wide. Bring your hands to frame your sacrum. This might be where you stop. Nice. Squeeze your shoulder blades and your elbows together behind you. Lift the center of your chest up. So moving into a back bend, really press your feet into the floor. Might separate them as much as you'd like. Doesn't have to be, close stance. So you're stretching a lot of the front of your body. So we're wanting to think about engaging the opposite side. So engaging in your glutes, engaging in the muscles in your back. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, stay here for a moment. Take a couple of slow breaths in and out your nose. And last one. Bring your arms out to the sides like a cactus. As you exhale, squeeze your elbows together like you're meeting a little bit of resistance. From here, bring your right arm under left. So you can do it this way, so you're holding opposite shoulders, or you might do it this way, so you're interlacing your whole arm. Bend your knees. Right leg over top of left. So squeeze your legs and your arms together. Shoulder blades are now moving away from spine. So you can think of kind of pointing your elbows away. In a lot of ways, that part in your upper back is kind of in opposite movement. Not fully, but point your right toes. Might tap your toes down to the floor if you need like a bit of a kickstand. Notice what's happening with your breath and your brain. Is your brain kind of drifting off somewhere else? Can you bring your focus back to breath? Nice. Take another breath here. Step your right foot beside your left, circle your arms overhead. Inhale. Elbow or arms to cactus as you exhale. And then squeeze your elbows towards each other. Left arm under right. Taking whichever variation you would like to. Bend your knees. Left leg over top of right. Similar to the squat, you can choose the depth that you want to bend your knees. So you might have your toes tapped down and have your legs kind of straight, right? You might bend a lot. It's just up to you and how you're feeling. Really focus in on your breath. How does your breath feel in your body here? Notice the space your breath takes up. Notice any places you're holding tension you don't need to. Specifically, I mean around your face and your head. Is your head like pressing forwards? Can you think of drawing your head back so it's over top of shoulders? Are you clenching your jaw? Can you think of letting your jaw soften, letting the muscles around your forehead soften? Step your left foot beside your right, circle your arms overhead. Inhale, reach up. Hands to heart, exhale. Reach your arms overhead, breathe in. Fold forwards as you breathe out. Hinge at your hips. Bit of a bend in your knees if you'd like. Lift halfway, inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, bring your fingertips down, step your right foot back. Heel is high. Reach your arms alongside your body. Runner's lunge. So again, taking as long of a stance as you like, right? It can be a short step. If you're like, this is what I'm feeling today. It can be a long step. There's quite a lot of factors. One of them is just sort of your energy level, how much energy you're feeling like putting in, like putting into practice. I don't mean that in a negative connotation. I mean, like if you're wanting to save energy or something, or if you're feeling really tired, this might be where you stay. Also, you might take the reverse choice because sometimes using your muscles like that will help wake you up. Anyway, we can go on rambles about intentions behind movement, but I'm going to try and not do that. Notice what's happening in your right leg. So your leg that's long behind you. Is your knee bent? Can you think instead, I'll go to the side a bit more, of pressing your leg up and then drawing your feet a little bit more to the center of your mat. Full inhale, grow through the crown of your head. Exhale, hands or fingertips down to the ground. Rock your weight back. Step your right foot forwards. Lift halfway, breathe in. Exhale, hands or fingertips down. Step your left foot back. Heel high, arms reach alongside your body. Same choice. Heel is high. Press your left leg up. Thinking of engaging in your left glute. Draw your right foot and hip back. Left foot is drawing forwards a bit. Let your breath take up space. One more full inhale. Exhale, bring your hands down. Rock your weight back. Step your left foot forwards. Separate your feet however much you'd like. We're going to pause in a forward fold. You might take it passive. Let your spine round. Maybe do a bit of a sway. You might take it active, maybe holding your big toes or sliding your hands underneath your feet. If you're holding your toes, inhale, lengthen your spine. Bend your knees. Exhale, round your spine, elbows reach wide. You're taking the option with your hands underneath your feet. You might do a similar thing. For a lot of people, knees will be bending a little less. If you've been doing the active one, you might let it go passive for the last little bit. So really shaking your head out, letting your spine round. It feel kind of nice some days. If you're in a space where you can make a little sound, you might flutter your lips as you exhale. Hopefully that wasn't too loud for you. I know some things translate differently on headphones. Take another 2 breaths. So really taking a little time. You're stretching out the back of your, really the back of your whole body, right? Backs of your legs especially, and glutes. And if you're letting your spine round, a bit of a stretch there too. All right. Inhale, lift halfway up like you did before. Exhale, plant your hands, step your right foot back. This time, pivot your heel down. So your toes are now pointing to the side. Windmill your arms up parallel to the floor. Bend into your left knee, warrior 2. So as you're bending into your left knee, reach your knee to the left side. Push the outside edge of your right foot down into the floor. You can reach your arms. This feels better in my body this morning. Notice how your knees feel, particularly your front knee. If you've bent into a spot, we talk about this a lot in practice, especially lately, right? If you bend into a spot, you're like, I don't know how that feels. Experiment. Might try somewhere else. Notice how that feels. Think of growing taller in your spine. And I don't mean taller as in lifting your chest up. Like if you were to be kind of pulled up by your whole rib cage, especially as you exhale. Option to straighten your leg, or you can keep your knee bent, tip your left hand down, right hand up. Either option. If you're in the option with your legs straight, you can slide forwards first and then have your left arm down, right arm up. You can have your gaze anywhere between your hands in this posture. Really notice your left side. What's happening there? Like can you feel your ribs in your hips, in your waist, in your shoulders? Are they a little bit more crunched together than your right side? If so, can you think of lengthening them away from each other? So you're finding space in your left side body, and then your right side will come a little closer together, not disproportionately. You have equal length both sides. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, bend your left knee. Bring your hands behind your back. You can hold your fingers if you'd like. You can hold opposite elbows if that works for you. I'm just going to hold my hands behind my back. Turn your torso a little to the front of the mat, not all the way. So it's like almost to your left knee, if you know what I mean. As you exhale, think of bowing over. So you're finding length in your sides. We're just here for one breath in. As you exhale, bring your hands down. We're just going to pause there for a second. One more inhale. Nice. Exhale, walk your hands around, pivot your back foot, rock your weight back, step your right foot forwards. Lift halfway up, breathe in. Switch sides. Exhale, step your left foot back, pivot your heel down, arms reach parallel to the floor, bending into right knee. Warrior 2 on the other side. Outside edge of your left foot pressing down into the floor. Pressing your right knee towards the right. So as you're bending into your front knee, you're seeing a big toe. Again, if you want to move and then bend in again, that's an option. As you exhale, think of growing your spine, your torso a little longer. Slow your thoughts down, bringing focus to breath. Straighten your right leg. If you'd like to, you can take the other option as well. I forgot to give both options. If you're taking the option with your leg straight, slide forwards and then right arm down, left arm up, or the option with your knee bent. Same thing as the other side. Take a moment, notice your hips, notice your ribs, your waist, your shoulders. How close is everything together? It's also okay if you don't know. If you're like, I'm not sure what my side is doing, that's fine. That's all good. In that case, or even for if that's not the case, as you exhale, same as we're doing when you're upright, when you exhale, think of lengthening through the sides and front and back of your body. There's still a little curve in your low back. You're not wanting to lengthen that out. Inhale, come back up, bend your right knee, and then circle your arms wide, bring your hands behind you. If you remember which way you held your hands, you can do the opposite here, or you can hold opposite, like the opposite way if you're holding your elbows. So instead of facing the side, you're gonna kind of turn most of the way to the front. So that, okay, when I look at it, doesn't mean that this is gonna be your alignment. When I look at mine, my shoulder, right shoulder is kind of past my knee a bit, like in terms of where it's pointing. From here, you know, lean over so that if you were to go up down more, your shoulders are the inside of your knee. You don't have to go more than this though. Keep pressing your outer left foot down, take a breath in. Nice job. Exhale, bring your hands down. Pause for your inhale. Exhale, walk your hands around, plant your hands, step back to downward facing dog. Move your heels away from your toes. Push the ground away from you with your hands. From here, inhale, come up to high plank, top of a push-up. Exhale, lower your knees down. Take your time, lower all the way down to belly. I'm actually gonna roll down because of my back. I'm still trying to be a little careful. All right. From here, do a little wiggle if you feel like it. And then press the tops of your feet down into the floor. Inhale, peel your chest up, baby cobra. I'm gonna keep my hands on the floor, but you might lift your hands off the floor. You're not using your hands to do the lifting. Find length in the back of your neck. Squeeze your shoulder blades to spine. Engage your glutes, like you're trying to press your hip bones down, or tuck your tailbone a little bit. Notice the inner edges of your legs. You can think of lengthening them away from the ground a little bit. And then exhale, come down. You can rest your forehead at center. You might instead have your arms alongside your body and look one way. Give your neck a bit of a stretch. We'll be here for about 2 more breaths, so you can really slow them down if you'd like. When you're ready, bring your forehead back to center. You can take the same posture if you'd like, or you might lengthen your arms alongside your body. I'll show you briefly. I'm not going to hold this one though. So arms alongside your body, gaze down, might lift your feet as well. So if you're lifting your feet, point your toes. Think of lengthening out through the inner edges of your feet and big toes, and then squeeze your inner thighs towards each other. You're also kind of equally lengthening to the outside of your legs and your baby toes. You're reaching your feet away, squeezing your legs towards each other. Glutes engaged again, so you're kind of tucking your tailbone or pressing your hips down. And then take your time, come back down, look the other way. Oh, there's a cat toy over here. Look the other way and take a little bit of rest. Take a couple really slow breaths. When you're ready, bring your gaze back to center. You can take either of the last two postures or bend your knees. And then you might reach around and grab the outsides of your feet. As you exhale, I'm not going to show you that one again, just because I'm just trying to be a little extra careful. If you're holding your feet, push your feet into hands, press your shins towards the back of the room. Similar thing, you're squeezing your inner thighs towards each other a bit, but you're also lengthening out of your knees, and you're really kicking your feet into hands if you're holding your feet. If you're not holding your feet, you can actually do this kind of thing where your knees are bent, but you aren't holding your feet. So you can instead think of engaging the muscles in the backs of your legs and squeeze your legs towards you. Sometimes I find it helpful if I focus on flexing my feet and pulling my heels in towards my glutes. Sometimes a visual, if you're like a visual person, if you think of like, if you're trying to squish a grape or something in the back of your knee or between your back of your thigh and your calf. Exhale, let go. This time, press your hands into the floor. Lift up to tabletop. Bring your knees out a little wider. Hips to heels, child's pose. If that last posture brought up stuff for you, you might place something underneath your chest. If you have a couple pillows, you might do that, and you might kind of hug them. Sometimes back bends can bring up stuff because if you think of it like from an evolutionary standpoint, they're quite vulnerable, not so much when you're laying down on your back or when you're on your belly. But if you think of standing up, that shape is quite vulnerable, right? You're like literally like showing your heart and your neck. So even when you're laying down, or those ones, it's more vulnerable as well. So sometimes that vulnerability will bring up other things as well. That doesn't mean that if nothing came up for you and you felt not like you didn't have any physical reaction, that's invalid. You're still, it's still a valid posture, and you still worked equally as hard on it. Just know that if things are coming up, it's okay. And that's part of the reason I like to take a little space after taking a little bit of time in child's pose, noticing your breath again, so that we're also kind of practicing like feeling stuff and then allowing rest. So you're allowing it to become kind of a wave and sort of letting go of that wave here. If that's all too metaphorical for you, I apologize. What I'm meaning is really focusing on your breath, allowing any physical sensations to slow down a little bit, or even kind of dialing them back if that feels possible. Not that you're forcing it down, but more so that you're sort of letting the grip go on it. I feel like I'm trying to say things and it's not working out, but hopefully you know what I'm meaning. Take a little bit here. And make your way to seated. So you can, when you're ready, it doesn't have to be now, and sit on your bum with your heels on the floor, knees bent, sitting upright. You might know what's coming because I think we did this last week. I can't remember. Or was it the week after? Anyway, feet on the floor. You might have your feet, like your whole foot on the floor, might just be your heels. Option to reach your hands straight out or hold the backs of your legs. You can have your knees as bent or less bent as you like. As you exhale, start to lean back however much you'd like. You have full control over the difficulty level of this. Really notice your back. And if you're really rounding out, think of finding a little bit of length in your back. And then as you exhale, lean back a little more. Full breath in. Exhale, lean back a little more. If you feel unbalanced, you can bring your fingertips down. And then exhale one more time, lean back a little more. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, lean back. Pause for your inhale. Lean back a little more. This time you can keep your hands here or reach forwards. You're gonna roll your spine down, all the way down, as slowly as possible. I find it helpful sometimes to let my feet move a little. I don't know if that's like counted as, I don't want to say cheating to some people, but I just find more balance that way because my legs are, or my limbs are short, my torso is long. Anyway, bend your knees, bring both feet down onto the floor, press your feet down, lift your hips up. Arms can be alongside your body, press your arms down. You might interlace your fingers behind your back. And then when you're ready, bring your hips down to the floor. Bring your right ankle to left knee. You can stay here, maybe bring your legs closer to you. Another option is to tip this to the left so that your foot's down towards the floor and your knees pointing up towards the ceiling. If you take that option, I like to bring my arms out wide. You don't have to do that, of course, but that's an option. Bring your knees back up. Set your right foot down, left ankle to right knee. You can bring your legs towards you again if you'd like, or you can tip this shape to the right. Inhale, bring your knees back up. Set both of your feet down onto the floor. You can do a little shift around if you'd like. Find a spot that feels comfy. Then bring the bottoms of your feet to touch. Knees move away from one another. You can stay in this posture longer if you'd like. When you're ready, you might lengthen your legs out. This might be your final resting pose. You can also take any other variations, to lay on your belly, take child's pose. If you have any other movements that you'd like to take before you settle into this, you're more than welcome to do that as well. So we do have 5 whole minutes here before the end of practice. So whenever you do set up into your resting pose, take a moment, do like a little scan of your body. How does it feel? How does this setup feel? Maybe you'd like grab a blanket, Maybe you shift your feet around so that you're feeling a little bit more, relaxed in your legs and in your ankles. And then soften the muscles in your jaw and your forehead. Think of softening the muscles in the top and back of your head, all the way down the back of your neck, your shoulders, all the way down your back. Kind of allowing your body to get a little heavier into your mat, like you're making an impression into sand. I'm going to give you a little space here. I'll let you know when time is up. Take a slower breath in your nose. A slower breath out. Might do a couple more like that. That's the end of our 45-minute class at 7:45. I mean, if you're practicing live, it is. I'm going to end the recording here in a second, but first I wanted to say thank you very much for being here. Thank you for sharing your practice and your energy. Hopefully you can take a moment. I know I try and usually hold a little space specifically for it. Time slipped away, but hopefully you can take a moment and give your body a bit of a thank you, even if it's like a true, like, okay, thank you. And then that's it. I hope you have a fantastic day. If you have any feedback, any questions, any concerns, comments, you can reach out. You can let me know now after I end the recording, or you can send me an email or whatever anytime. So I'm going to end the recording here, but bye. Thank you so much.